Yo, what's good? What's going on, everyone? Hope you're having a great day. It's Neff, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a little guide on how to prep for 9.2 as HAVOC Demon Hunter. You know, the renown you need to grind, the legendaries you need to make, some talents to get used to, some different builds, and everything like that. So my nose is a little stuffed up right now. I might be getting sick, I don't know. So if you hear me sniffle or my voice is kind of weird, you know, I apologize. But before we hop into everything, I just want to say thank you to everyone that watched my last video when I released my UI and went to my Twitch and subbed to me. I've been getting a lot of good feedback on my UI. People are liking it. And I've been putting a lot of time into it, updating it. You know, most recent update, we got Plater to install through the UI itself, so you don't have to manually import the string through the Plater add-on. So you just click a button and it's imported. Every add-on that I use, it now works through the installer, except MRT. MRT is a weird one. For some reason, I just can't get the profile to load. But in my Discord, I do have a link where you can just get the import string and do everything you need to do. You can just import it through there. If you want my UI, a link to my Twitch and Discord will be in the description. What you need to do, you can watch my last video and find out, or essentially you just sub to my Twitch. You can use Prime or a regular sub, and then go to Discord, connect your Twitch account with your Discord, and then join my server, and then wait a few minutes and you'll see a category called Neff UI, and in that channel you'll see all the download links for my installer and all the import strings for all the LVUI profiles, all the add-on profiles, and everything you need. So if you do that, I appreciate you. One more thing, I thought this was fake, but I actually went into my analytics and looked at my own, you know, like viewer to non, or my own sub to non-sub viewer ratio, and only 10% of people that are subbed watch my videos. So if you guys watch this and you're not subbed, I'd really appreciate it if you did hit the sub button. It really helps me out. You know, I thought people that did this, it was kind of like fake stats, but it is 100% real, and it just kind of feels bad, man, you know. But yeah, so if you sub, it really helps me out. I'd really appreciate that. And yeah, so enough of the shout outs. We'll get into the actual video now. So if you didn't know, 9.2 release date is February 22nd. They announced this a couple days ago. The actual raid and the new Mythic Plus and PvP season doesn't start until a week after, so that'll be on March 1st. So you do have an extra week to prep for all that new content. So I'm basically just going to be running through all the covenants, like Venthyr, NightFae, and Necrolord. I'm not really going to be talking about Kyrian because it's kind of a dead covenant for HAVOC. So the first covenant we're going to be talking about is Venthyr. If you're new to HAVOC, you know, Venthyr is a very good single target, really good 2-target cleave, and in your meta windows, it's extremely high sustained AoE. When you meta, you apply Sinful Brand to everything around you, and it does a ton of damage. It'll do like up to 50% of your damage, and it's super high sustained AoE damage, and probably the best sustained single target in the game. So the legendaries that you're going to need for Venthyr, the first one for the first 3 weeks before we get double legendary and the Covenant legendary, you're going to want to make Agony Gaze. That is going to be your legendary for all types of content until you get the double legendary. So Agony Gaze, you need to get to 48 renown and get that. And this is a weird legendary because it does interfere with your tier set, which you don't want. So I recommend getting the Soul Cinders ready to make that legendary, but don't actually make it yet, because right now you can only make it on your head or legs, and both of those slots are tier set slots, and you don't want to have your legendary on a slot where your tier set would be, right? So I would get the Soul Cinders for that and just hold on to them until hopefully there's a patch that will add another slot that won't interfere with the Covenant, or with the tier set rather. For Venthyr, after we get double legendaries, which will be the 3rd week of Mythic, I think, or it might be the 3rd week of the raid release. I think it is Mythic though. The 2 legendaries that you're going to want are Dark Glare Medallion. That'll be for pure single target. It is pretty good for AoE, but it's super RNG, and it does sim currently the highest for pure single target, and you're going to want to make that on your neck so it doesn't interfere with your tier set. And then the next legendary you're going to want to make is Collective Anguish, and that will go on your wrist or your back. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't interfere with your tier set. The stats that you get are exactly the same, so you can kind of do whatever you want with that. Collective Anguish will probably be used for single target as well, because it, you know, there's no RNG. You can kind of guarantee your single target damage, and then it'll definitely be the go-to move for 3 or more targets. And then if there's any fight like Soul Render or Mythic Plus, it'll definitely be the legendary to go. I know that's a lot of Torghast grinding, but if you don't have Venthyr leveled, you're gonna have to be in there for a while and grind out some soul cinders anyways, for that renown 80. But the good thing is, renown 80 is still the cap, even going into 9.2. So, you know, there's not renown 120 or whatever, we're still capped to 80 renown. So that's a good thing. So the soul binds that you'll be running for Venthyr, for raid, most of the time you'll be running Nausea the Mistblade with Growing Inferno and Relentless Onslaught with the Dauntless Duelist Soulbind potency. And then for AoE, you can run the same thing, or you can go Theotar with triple potency and then go Dancing with Fate, Growing Inferno, and Relentless Onslaught. Or you could even put in something Scrutiny. It's the Venthyr Covenant Conduit for HAVOC. So you can kind of swap between those if you'd like for AoE. Theotar can be used in single target as well with the triple potency, but I highly recommend going Darkglare Medallion and the Dauntless Duelist. The 3% damage just for single target is really nice. So the talents for Venthyr, personally what I like in AoE or Mythic Plus is Blind Fury, Insatiable Hunger, Glaive Tempest, Cycle of Hatred, and Demonic. And then for single target, you'll go Blind Fury, Insatiable Hunger, Unbound Chaos, Cycle of Hatred, and then Demonic. The next covenant we'll talk about is Necrolord, and there's not a lot of changes for Necrolord or NightFae. You're kind of just going to be doing the same thing. Necrolord will mainly be played in Mythic Plus. Its raid capabilities are not very high. You know, the single target is kind of low, and it's super RNG, but it does provide, you know, decent burst with the 20% damage buff for like 20 seconds. So for single target, it's not going to be very good, but for AoE, it is pretty good. It can do about the same damage as NightFae, depending on your procs though, because it is pretty RNG. So the legendary you'll want to make for this is just the Burning Wound legendary. It's what we've been running for the past like expansion and a half. And you just throw that on your back. It won't interfere with your tier set, and you'll be good to go there. And the soulbind that you'll want to run is Plague Divisor Merilith. The conduits being Growing Inferno, Dancing with Fate, and Relentless Onslaught. You can run the Necrolord Covenant conduit. It is pretty good as well. Relentless Onslaught will definitely give you a bit better single target or priority damage. So the talents you'll be running with this are Fellblade, Demon Blade, Glaive Tempest for AoE, Unbound Chaos or Trail of Ruin for single target, and then First Blood and Demonic. So moving on to NightFae, pretty much the exact same thing. Our talents have changed a tiny bit. Just swap out Glaive Tempest for Unbound Chaos because Unbound Chaos synergizes with our Covenant Legendary with NightFae. So you will want to run Unbound Chaos rather than Glaive Tempest. So the legendary you're running, same thing as Necrolord, Burning Wound, throw it on your back, you're good to go. If you have been playing Demon Hunter, I'm sure you have this. And the soulbinds are the same, you know, Dreamweaver for single target, Growing Inferno, Dancing with Fate, and Relentless Onslaught for single target. And then for AoE, you'll be running Karain, Growing Inferno, First Strike, and Dancing with Fate. And the talents you'll be running there are Bellblade, Demon Blade, Unbound Chaos, First Blood, and Demonic. So currently in 9.1, we are stacking a shitload of crit. And 9.2, we're not going to need that. The only reason we stack it right now is for the Frost Shards of Domination set bonus, which we're not going to have in 9.2. It's going to be deactivated as soon as 9.2 comes out. So stacking all that crit is going to be meaningless. If you don't have any haste versus gear, that's going to be our main priority stats, most likely going into next tier. So I highly recommend doing some Mythic Plus or farming out some raid haste versus gear. That'll probably end up being our best stats. So if you don't have haste verse, I would definitely recommend doing that. I think that is pretty much it, guys. You know, I went through all the covenants and legendaries that you're going to need. The stats that you need. If you have any questions or comments or feedback on my UI, or questions on how to get my UI or how to install it, or have any errors with it, be sure to join my Discord or just leave a comment on the video, like it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time.